Welcome back to Hardball. California voters yanked their governor out of office back in 2003 and replaced him with a bona fide outsider in Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, just 7 years later, with a broken economy and a bleak forecast out there, will voters there go for another outsider in Meg Whitman, or a man who served California government on and off for some 4 decades? Former California Governor Jerry Brown is currently the state's Attorney General. Governor Brown, it's great to have you on. I just want to ask you, do you think the last 7 years have been good for California with Schwarzenegger? Here's a business guy and movie star, business guy, who said, I can take business sense like Meg Whitman and make government work. It hasn't. Well, has it worked? I'll leave it as an open question. Has he been a net plus or negative?
Well, certainly in terms of the budget, blowing up the boxes, reorganizing government, it hasn't. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger has pioneered the environment and climate change legislation that is really path-breaking. So I give him full credit for that. But in terms of the crisis we are in now, the idea that not knowing anything, not even caring enough to vote for 28 years, gives you the equipment, the skill to wrestle those 120 legislators to the ground, get them on your team, and deal with this deepening crisis. I doubt that, and if these surveys are any indication, Ms. Whitman has hit a wall for the last, probably since March, not move forward, and I think we're in a very strong position to win the confidence of the people and get down to brass tacks here of solving the problem.
What is it in the American psyche or character that says if you don't know anything, you're somehow an average person or average guy and you have horse sense? What is it about people that keep picking people like George W. Bush to be president? And you see these people like Sarah Palin out there with fans. Why would anybody like somebody who the campaign manager for John McCain said she doesn't know anything? Why is not knowing anything? Why is the know-nothing candidate like Meg Whitman, a person who doesn't have any government experience, have the appeal to be even with you in the polls? The person doesn't know anything about government. Wait a minute.
Even is pretty amazing because she spent over $100 million already. I haven't put up my first ad yet. So this is a very competitive race. We're right on message. We're on our program here. And I think the reason why you see her being so well known, she's known to 95% of the people, is there's been about 80,000 separate TV commercials already run on her behalf. So, but look, after you've heard it over and over again, you're going to say, well, hey, what else is there? And then we're going to come in, I think, with a very strong alternative. And I've got the skill. I know Mrs. Whitman is saying, oh, what we need to do is eliminate the capital gains tax, which gives her millions of dollars personally, and her friends and allies about $5 billion, compounding the problem for the schools and the police and the fire and all the other fiscal challenges we're facing now in the state.
Do you suggest that California or anywhere in America is like Italy or over there where somebody like Berlusconi, some media tycoon, can come in and just spend zillions of dollars and buy this state? Could she, sitting there looking at tracking polls 2 weeks before an election, 2 nights before an election, just pour more millions into the race and buy it? Is that conceivable? Purchasing California?
Well, I don't think it is conceivable, and I'll tell you why. Because here we are in July, and all this exposure has already occurred, and we have 4 more months to go. And I'm convinced that by the time we get to Election Day in November, everybody's going to have enough information about my candidacy, about the Republican side here. And I don't think they're going to be bamboozled any further by one commercial after another, or skywriting, or another 20 million pieces of mail. Yeah, that's effective to a point. But the other side, the Democratic Party, my own campaign, we'll get our message out, and I think at the end of the day, the people will know enough to pick the person they think can best handle this state that we're in now.
The people of California haven't had a lot of faith in politicians over the last 20 or 30 years. They've gotten their fingers into actual legislating, not just saying who should do it, but doing it themselves. Prop 13, term limits, add it all up together, using the recall, all that stuff put together. Has that been good for California? All this effort to keep refining and messing with it as amateurs. Has that been a good political system for California?
Well, No, it hasn't been good. In part, certainly a big part, is the abysmal lack of confidence in the legislature itself. So people say, let's go to the ballot box, and then the ballot box becomes subject to these massive, highly financed campaigns. And that really is the key point here, that the governor is so constrained that it isn't enough to say, I'm going to give a bunch of edicts and lay people off and do whatever I want. The next governor's got to herd cats. He's got to get these 120 legislators in a room, focus them, get some solutions, and if they can't pull it off, then ask the people themselves to weigh in on some of the key issues.
You had 2 terms as governor. If you could do some 1 or 2 things different than you did them, what would you do now? What were your, I'm not going to, well, I'll ask you, what were your mistakes you learned from? People do learn from mistakes. What did you learn from in 8 years as governor in Sacramento?
Well, I learned the difference between management and ideas. Advocacy is one thing, however eloquent. Management, step by step, making the kind of incremental changes that government can actually accomplish, that's something quite different. But as far as mistakes, the biggest mistake was probably when I ran for president in 1980. That was really a diversion here. But I've learned about the energy, the schools, the water, the crime. That's another issue, the whole matter of the criminal justice, how the sentencing system should work, and how we can create a whole integrated criminal justice system that will be cheaper and won't have the massive recidivism that the one we have today exhibits.
How do you deal with the kick butt unions out there? They're really tough. You got the correction officers, you got the police, you got the teachers, the nurses. These are tough, strong, well-funded unions that are politically cohesive. They took down the Governor Schwarzenegger when he tried to take them down. How do you make them work? How do you get them to serve the public and get reasonable compensation?
Well, you just lay out, first of all, you treat them with respect, you lay out your agenda, and you get everybody understanding we're Californians first. We're not Democrat or Republican or member of this group or that group. And don't just say unions are a powerful force. Wall Street destroyed $11 trillion worth of wealth. That's pretty powerful. No union can ever do that.
Yeah,
and then there's the tea baggers, there's the Chamber of Commerce. There's all manner of interest, and the key to democracy is leadership that can forge the common purpose. And that's what I feel my entire life has prepared me now to take what I've learned, work with these divergent, conflicting factions, and get this common pathway to the future, seizing the assets of California, which, after all, is still the 8th wealthiest political entity in the world.
Can you beat Meg Whitman if she's going to outspend you 10-1, have staffs 10 times as big as you?
Yeah, without question. I'm already, by every indication, I'm ahead of her, and I haven't even started yet. I'm giving some speeches. I'm meeting with people. I'm talking to you on television. But the real firepower will be coming, but not yet. And when it does, watch out.
When's your kick? When do you go for it?
Well, we keep a little before that, but we're going to keep our powder dry, and we're not giving all our signals out at this point in time. But believe me, Chris, we got the plan, we got the horsepower, and we got the people on our side.
Well, you won that re-election by going after Evel Younger's 3 pensions or whatever they were in August in that re-election year. I'm watching August and Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown, Governor Brown, thanks for coming on Hardball.